എണ്ണി എണ്ണി തീർത്തു ദിനം വന്നല്ലോ ഈ അറഞ്ച്. ആ ദിനത്തെ ആടിപ്പാടി ആഘോഷം കൊണ്ടാടണം, നാം ആഘോഷം കൊണ്ടാടണം.
Hello and greetings to our esteemed viewers. I am Omer Ghazi and I am joined today by my compatriots Subuhi Khan, Moinuddin Ahmad and Amana Begam. We wanted to use this occasion for something unique, special and extremely important. We wanted to honor and commemorate the victims of the Chabad House terrorist attack on 26th of November 2008. Those victims were Jews. Jews who had never before in the history of India been persecuted on Indian soil. For the first and worst time in our history, Jews were tortured and murdered in cold blood by foreign radicalized Pakistani terrorist state actors. Of all the hostages on 26/11 who had been captured and executed by the perpetrators of terror, the bodies of the Jewish victims were found to have suffered the most torture.
I'm Subuhi Khan, a Sanatani Muslim from the land of spirituality, Bharat, that is India. We are using this occasion to maintain that anti-Semitism is not, never has been, and never will be a problem in India. In this memorial, we remember and honor the victims. We then also remember the rich Jewish history of India, particularly the beautiful relationship that Indian Muslims share with Indian Jews and still share to this day. This special Jewish-Muslim relationship is something we deeply cherish, always have, and always will cherish. The victims of the tragedy were beautiful souls with beautiful and promising lives ahead. They had beautiful families, friends, and loved ones who were robbed of them.
62-year-old grandmother and mother of 4, Yocheved Orbaz, was on a holiday in India visiting her daughter Ayala and her 2 grandchildren. She was dropping by the Chabad House to thank the directors for helping her obtaining kosher food when the tragedy struck her, and her life was cruelly stolen away from her and her loved ones. May her memory be a blessing. Zichrona Livaracha.
Norma Shoazblad Rabinovich. 49-year-old Norma was a talented artist, avid traveler, and a polyglot. She spent many months traveling India, especially mountain trekking. She was staying at Chabad House as a guest when the terrorists attacked it and brutally murdered her. She has been cruelly stolen away from 3 young children. May her memory be a blessing. Zichrona Livracha.
When 37-year-old Rabbi Teitelbaum was brutally murdered, he left behind a young wife and a family of 8 children. At the time of his visit to India, he was supervising a mushroom processing plant that was doing a production run for a kosher food company. He died while praying inside the Chabad House synagogue. May his memory be a blessing. Zichrono Lifracha.
28-year-old Bent Zion Kruman had survived a deadly earthquake in China earlier in the year of 2008. But tragically, it was at Chabad House, Mumbai, that he would leave this world and his young family of a wife and 3 children behind forever. Kruman was on a visit to India at the behest of his friend Rabbi Teitelbaum to assist the latter with his work. When Kruman was found, it was in the library, slumped over an open Talmud. May his memory be a blessing. Zichrono Livracha.
Rabbi Gabriel and Ravika Holzberg moved to India shortly after they married and opened the first Chabad House in Mumbai, commonly known as Nariman House. In addition to installing a kosher kitchen and leading weekly Shabbat meals for visitors and residents, Rabbi Gabriel also led prayer at Knesset Eliyahu Synagogue for a Jewish community of Mumbai, which is around 5,000 in number. Anywhere from 50 to 60 people would attend Shabbat meals, and all people of all background, religion, ethnicities, and nationalities were welcome to attend. On the night of the attack, on the 26th of November 2008, Rabbi Gabriel and his wife Ravika Holzberg, who was 5 months pregnant at that time, left this world all too soon and far too cruelly. Their 2-year-old son Moshe was saved by his nanny Sandra Samuel, who found baby Moshe wandering near his unconscious parents. She seized him and fled from the building, narrowly escaping the terrorists. Rabbi Gabriel and Ravika Holzberg were a young, warm, beautiful, and loving parents to baby Moshe, and a source of light and joy to the Jewish community and their friends and loved ones. May their memory be a blessing. Zichronam livaracha.
Before we go on to our next segment, we would like to showcase a beautiful gift that calligrapher Tawfiq Zakaria has made as a memorial for the victim of the tragedy and which has been gifted to Chabad House, Mumbai. We are back, and this time we are going to do something a little different. This time we are going to go down memory lane and talk about the Jewish people and their rich history in India. We are then going to talk about how special and unique the friendship between Indian Jewish and Muslim people has been and still is to this very day.
Jews have been in India for centuries, quite possibly millennia. Some Jews, such as the Bnei Menashe of Mizoram and Manipur, are even considered descendants of ancient lost Israelite tribes who went wandering away from the Levant thousands of years ago. What recorded history tells us is that some of the earliest Jews to arrive in India were the ones who fled Roman persecution and settled on the Konkan coast in around 175 BCE. These Jews are known as Ben Israel Jew.
The next small by comparison wave of Jews were the Najacoil Jews or St. Thomas Jews. These were Jewish followers of Jesus' apostle St. Thomas. They followed him from the land of Israel to the present-day Kanyakumari in 52 CE to preach the teachings of their Rabbi, Jesus, or Yeshua, as he is called in Hebrew.
The next to arrive were the Cochin Jews, who were expelled from Spain by the Catholics in 1492 CE. Another wave of Portuguese and Spanish Jews fleeing the Spanish Inquisition arrived in India in the 16th century and settled down in Goa and Chennai. They were the Goan Jews and the Madras Jews.
In 1839, a group of Jews fled persecution and pogrom in the city of Mashhad in Iran and settled in Punjab, where they were welcomed and protected by the Sikh Maharaja Ranjit Singh.
Finally, the Baghdadi Jews made their way to India in the 18th century from Iraq. A second migration of Jews took place in the early 19th century as Dawood Pasha grew increasingly intolerant of Jews in Baghdad.
While Jews were persecuted across Europe and the Levant, they were welcomed and thrived in India.
We now tell you a little about some of those Jews who did ever so well in our land, and particularly about those Jews who had shared the closest bonds of friendship with Indian Muslims.
Gaspar da Gama, also known as Gaspar da India, was a famous Portuguese Jewish explorer who frequently sailed between Portugal and India on trade expeditions. He knew a couple of Indian languages and was hence employed as an interpreter by the Portuguese and developed close relations with many Indian leaders. However, at one point in his life, he was taken prisoner in Alexandria and sold as a slave to India. Fortunately for him, Yusuf Adil Shah, the Sultan of Bijapur and Arab governor of Goa, granted Gaspar his freedom and also appointed him as a captain of his fleet of ships.
Another Portuguese Jew Garcia de Orta was a physician, herbalist, and naturalist who lived from 1501 to 1568. A prolific personality who studied and made significant contributions to medicine, pharmacognosy, and ethnobotany. He invented herbal medicines and published several works on medicinal and economic plants in India. He set up a medical practice in Ahmednagar, where he was the physician to Burhan Nizam Shah I of the Nizam Shahi dynasty. He was also the tutor to the Sultan's son and was treated like royalty at the court, where he met and dined several times with the Sultan's cavalry general Firangi Khan himself.
De Orta wasn't the only Jew welcomed at the court of the Muslim rulers. Emperors Akbar and Jahangir welcomed Jewish advisors to their court, especially in his Ibadat Khana or hall of worship. Jews were invited to participate in Akbar's Parliament of Religion to discuss religious matters. It was a place where representatives of various religious persuasions held religious discourses.
The Jewish people held singularly special position with the Muslim rulers across India, furthering diplomatic ties. The Jewish merchant Isaac Sargon from Syria, who lived in Calicut, was Sultan Hyder Ali's favorite emissary and representative of the Dutch traders and local Malabar rulers such as Ali Raja of Cannanore. David Ezekiel Rahabi, a merchant and emissary of the Cochin Jewish community, was pivotal in brokering peace on behalf of the Malabar people with Hyder Ali, after which the Sultan of Mysore ceased his siege, marking the end of First Mysore War.
The Jewish people were active in civic and economic affairs under the various Muslim rulers of India. In 1891, Nawab Siddi Ahmad Khan, the Siddi ruler of Janzeria, appointed a Jew called Shalom Bapuji Israel Wagarkar as his Kharbari or Prime Minister. He was so popular with the Nawab's administration that he was bestowed the honorary title of Khan Sahab. Together, the Nawab and his Jewish Kharbari implemented reforms that transformed the state of Zanzira, enhancing crop productivity and state revenues. Communal harmony reigned, and synagogue, prayer halls, and cemeteries were built for the thriving Jewish community of Zanzira.
One of the earliest and probably the first Hebrew translations of the Quran was made by the Cochin Jews in 18th century. This was not the first or the last of many socio-cultural and religious engagements between the Jewish and Muslim communities of India. The Persian Armenian Sufi mystic Sarmad Kashani was originally a Jew who converted to Islam. A Jufi or Jewish Sufi, if you could call him one. Known as the Wandering Jew, Kashani first visited India in the 17th century and at the invitation of Prince Dara Shikoh, who thereafter became a disciple of his, appeared in Emperor Akbar's court. Kashani preached the invaluable tenets of religious syncretism and freedom of expression. One of India's greatest freedom fighters, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, maintained that he related closely to the Jufi Sarmat for his fierce belief in freedom of thought and expression.
There are many other Jufis or Jews who were also Muslim. Notable among them are
Samuel Faizi Rahman, a Jewish painter who was renowned in the early 20th century for his spectacular Rajasthani painting and Mughal miniatures.
Anamolka Ahmed, the Impressionist artist who set up the Department of Fine Arts at University of Punjab in pre-partition India.
Theatre personality and playwright Pearl Padamsee, who set up her own theatre company in Mumbai and acted in Hindi and English films like Khatta Meetha, Junoon, Baaton Baaton Mein, and Kama Sutra: Tale of Love and Such a Long Journey.
Bollywood actress Esther Victoria Abraham, who went by the screen name Pramila, who won the first Miss India title in 1947. The beauty queen, who was incidentally also a graduate of Cambridge University, acted in several Bollywood films like Beqasoor, Ulti Ganga, Hamari Beti, Kanchan, Basant, Naseeb, and many, many more.
Coincidentally, Esther Abraham's daughter, Naki Jahan, another Jew, went on to become Miss India in 1967, marking the two of them the only mother and daughter duo to ever bag the coveted title.
Abraham's Zifi son, Haider Ali, was a Bollywood star in his own right. He had starred in TV serials and in many movies such as Mughal-e-Azam, Shri 420 and Watan. And he was the writer behind Ashutosh Govidkar's landmark film Zoda Akbar.
One of the most preeminent Jufis of our time is none other than Yusuf Hamid himself. He is the son of Muslim industrialist Khwaja Abdul Hamid, who was an active member of India's independence movement. Yusuf's mother, Luba Derzanska, was a Lithuanian Jew who fled Nazi persecution in Germany in search of a safer climate in India. Popularly known by his moniker Yuku, Hamid is the billionaire CEO of Cipla, one of world's leading pharmaceutical companies. He has garnered much respect and recognition for his seminal research and tireless advocacy and intervention efforts for provisioning developing countries with critical medications to treat HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, asthma, and other diseases. In 2005, the Government of India awarded him the Padma Bhushan, the nation's third highest civilian honor.
The Jufi equation goes both ways. Just as many Jews engaged with and embraced Muslims, many prominent Indian Muslims were also monumentally influenced by Jewish people. The most significant testimony to Jewish influence in Muslim life in India is the contemporary modern art scene of India itself. In the 1930s and 1940s, many Jews fled anti-Semitism and Nazi persecution in Europe and came to India. Among them were Kathe Langamer, Immanuel Schlesinger, and Rudolf von Leyden. These three art connoisseurs and collectors had a major impact on the art movement in India and in promoting and launching the careers of Muslim artists like Maqbool Fida Hussain and Sayyid Haider Raza.
Many Muslims in the Bollywood were also influenced by Jewish ethos and folklore. In 1958, Yahudi, meaning Jew, was a historical fictional drama about the persecution of Jews. It was written by Wajahat Hussain Mirza Changezi and was based on a novel by Muhammad Shah and starred people like Dilip Kumar or Muhammad Yusuf Khan, Meena Kumari or Mahjabeen Bano, Nazir Hussain and Nigar Sultana. Bollywood was the ultimate melting pot and mixing point of Jews and Muslims. Just like the Muslims of Yahudi, Jewish actors Vimla, Ezra Mir, and Salochana played central role in Muslim-themed movies like Noor Jahan and Anarkali.
Annie Samson was another Jew who had a major impact on the lives of Muslims. In 1939, she founded and became principal of Njumani Islam Saif Tayyib Ji Girls High School and Junior College of Art and Science in Mumbai. Today, the school has over 5,000 Muslim students. Samson was a fervent advocate and pioneer of education for Muslim girls.
Joseph Horowitz was another Jewish academician and scholar who taught Arabic and Islamic studies at Aligarh's Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College from 1907 to 1914. Along with teaching, he worked for the Government of India in compiling and translating over 12,000 Muslim inscriptions in Arabic and Persian from across India.
Another Jew, Dr. Rachel Reuben, wrote the eloquent biography and tribute to Muslim naturalist and ornithologist Humayun Abdul Ali, the cousin of Salim Ali, birdman of India. Dr. Reuben was one of the founding members of ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, Vector Control Research Center, and was also an executive member of the Bombay Natural History Society, where she struck a close friendship with Humayun Abdul Ali.
Indian Jewish and Muslim communities have been living side by side and participating harmoniously in each other's religious activities in more than a few intimate ways. In early 20th century, Jabalpur had a very tiny Jewish community. One that was so small that the local Muslims of the town would join them in their New Year procession, dancing and rejoicing all the way from railway station to the Judah compound prayer hall, carrying the Torah, the holy book of the Jews, with them.
In India today, with the numbers of the Jewish community dwindling to just a handful in many cities, many synagogues and cemeteries are now looked after by Muslim caretakers, without whom they would be neglected. Muslim families now look after the three major synagogues of Kolkata, Beth El, Magen David, and Neva Shalom. And the cemeteries of Kolkata, Bangalore, Cochin, and Mumbai are also in care of Muslims. Muhammad Abdul Yasin and his son are the only tomb engraver in Mumbai who engraved tombstone in Hebrew. But it is not only in maintaining and preserving Jewish monuments that Muslims are closely involved, they are also central to preserving and reviving Jewish traditions. All the good in Jewish bakery, Nahum and Sons in Kolkata, are produced by Muslim chefs. India's only teacher of Hebrew is a devout Muslim, Khurshid Imam, and the last of Jew of Cochin, Sarah Cohen, taught her Muslim caretaker and assistant, Taha, how to read and embroider in Hebrew to sell Hebrew embroidered handkerchiefs before she passed away. These are only a handful of innumerable beautiful relationships between Indian Jewish and Muslims that there are and have been over the centuries.
This video has been an effort to remember the Chabad House victims of 26/11 and to bring people together. We hope you liked it and found it informative, edifying, and inspiring. Thank you for watching this video.
Greetings, Salam Alaikum, and Shalom Aleichem. My name is Zahack Tanvir, and today I remember and honor the memory of the Jewish victims of the Chabad House tragedy on November 26, 2008. Yocheved Orpas, Norma Choresblad Rabinovich, Rabbi Lebish Tetelbaum, Benzion Kruman, Rabbi Gabriel Holzberg, and Rebetzin Rivka Holzberg. We honor their memory and the tragedy of their loss. Zichronam Livaraha. May their memory be a blessing. I would also like to take this opportunity to remember the friendship between Indian Muslims and Jews, and one that has been close, sacred, and cherished for millennia. During the Second World War, when Nazis were hunting down Jews across Europe, Sir Mirza Ismail, a prominent political figure and Diwan, Prime Minister of Mysore, used his influence to extend support to persecuted Jews. Sir Mirza Muhammad Ismail Amin al-Mulk was an Indian lawyer, he was a politician, and he was a fervent patriot. In 1939, he invited a German Jewish architect named Otto Königsberger to Mysore and offered him the position of state architect and planner. Königsberger, an illustrious architect who had won an award in 1933 for his masterful design of the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, eventually fled Germany and went to Egypt as Nazi persecution intensified. His uncle was the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Max Born, who had also fled Germany for India. Born connected his nephew with Sir Mirza Ismail, leading to the latter extending an invitation and offering employment to Königsberger. At the time, India was under British rule, and it was extremely difficult for Indians to invite foreigners without navigating great bureaucratic hurdles. Yet, Sir Mirza Ismail successfully obtained a visa for Königsberger, who went on to build several landmark structures in India, including the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, TIFR in Bombay, Bangalore City Bus Station, and the Town Hall in Bangalore. He also designed the town plan for Bhubaneswar, the capital of Orissa, and contributed to the planning of Jamshedpur in collaboration with J.R.D. Tata. After India's independence, Konigsberger became Director of Housing for the Indian Ministry of Health between the years 1948 and 1951, helping to resettle refugees displaced by partition. He later became an Indian citizen. Another Jewish personality who came to India in the late 1930s at Sir Mirza Ismail's invitation was Maurice Friedman from the Jewish ghetto of Krakow, Poland. At Ismail's behest, Friedman established a factory in Bangalore to manufacture electrical appliances. Soon thereafter, he became a devoted disciple of Ramana Maharishi and a follower of Mahatma Gandhi, joining and actively participating in India's independence movement. It was Friedman who designed the charkha, the hand-operated spinning wheel for Gandhi, the very symbol of India's freedom struggle. Friedman also drafted the constitution of Ond and helped over 72 villages in the drought-prone province rise out of poverty. He never returned to Poland, and tragically, his entire family perished in the Holocaust. Like Konigsberger, Friedman later became an Indian citizen. Another Indian Muslim who sought to help Jews facing anti-Semitism in Europe was Khwaja Abdul Hamid, an industrialist and a prominent figure in India's independence movement. Born in Aligarh in a highly distinguished family, Hamid was descended from the Sufi saint Khwaja Ahrar on his father's side, and from the mother's side, Shuja Shah, the last Durrani king of Afghanistan. Among his relatives were Muslim reformer Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, eminent lawyer Khwaja Muhammad Yusuf, and freedom fighter Abdul Majid Khwaja. While studying in Europe, Hamid met Luba Dzerzhinska, a Lithuanian Jewish chemistry student at Berlin University. The two fell in love and married in a mosque in Berlin in 1928. The following year, they married again at the Choral Synagogue in Vilnius, Lithuania, and later solemnized their union at a registrar's office in London. Their first son was named Yusuf, after Luba's grandfather. After their marriage, Hamid and Luba settled in Bombay but visited Europe frequently. Gradually, they began to notice the alarming rise of anti-Semitism. On one visit, Hamid was mistaken for a Jew by some Germans and insulted. Deeply disturbed by the growing hatred, he urged his Jewish friends to leave Germany. Sadly, most dismissed his concerns. In June 1941, the Nazis exterminated the majority of the Jews in Vilnius. Hamid tried desperately to obtain visas for Luba's parents to come to India, but the documents arrived 2 weeks too late after they had been killed. Today, their son, Dr. Yusuf Hamid, runs Cipla, the multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company founded by his father. In 2005, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan, India's third highest civilian honor, for his groundbreaking research, leadership, and philanthropy. Instances of Jewish-Muslim friendship continued after the war. MacDonald Friedman, also known as Fori Nehru, was a Hungarian Jew who married diplomat Braj Kumar Nehru, a first cousin of India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Following partition in 1947, Fori Nehru became the only female member of the emergency committee formed to protect Muslims who had sought refuge in camps at Purana Qila and Humayun's tomb in Delhi. She worked tirelessly for their safety and rights, and she established an initiative to sell stitched and embroidered crafts made by refugee women. Fori was one among many Jewish feminists who stood up for the rights of Muslim women. Others included Rachel Ashkenazi, the first female Jewish lawyer to practice in the High Court, and Regina Guha, one of the earliest feminist lawyers to demand that women be allowed to practice law. both tirelessly advocated for women in Parda to have access to legal advice. Many eminent Muslims supported these progressive Jewish women. Annie Sampson, a Jewish educator, was the founding principal of Anjuman-e-Islam School for Girls, hired by Badruddin Tayyibji, a renowned Muslim lawyer, politician, and champion of women's education. Similarly, 3 founders of Jamia Millia Islamia University, Zakir Hussain, Abid Hussain, and Muhammad Mujib, invited their Jewish friend from Berlin, Gerda Philipsborn, to help establish the university. While studying in Berlin, the 3 had introduced Gerda to Gandhi's philosophy of self-reliance and nonviolence. Inspired by their ideals, she left her wealthy family and successful opera career to move to India in 1932, joining Jamia in 1933. When she arrived, Zakir Hussain, who would later become the 3rd president of India, introduced her to the children under her care, saying, "This is your Abajan, who has come from Germany. She will stay with you and look after you." Abajan means elder sister in Urdu. Today, Gerda's grave lies in the Muslim cemetery of Jamia, inscribed in Urdu and English. Gerda Philipsborn, Abajan, April 30, 1895 to April 14, 1943. Served Jamia Millia Islamia from January 1, 1933 to April 14, 1943. Gerda, who initially knew no Urdu, became fluent in it and taught her students through the university magazine Bayam-e-Talim. That means Messages of Education. She encouraged them to write back about current events, creative writing, and global affairs. She cared for the children deeply, ensuring their hygiene, organizing crafts, and nurturing their emotional well-being. Gerda became Zakir Hussain's personal advisor, and her influence was profound when Gandhi appointed him in charge of India's basic national education plan. A month before her death, Hussain dedicated his book Talimi Khutbat, Educational Addresses, to her, and he wrote to Abajan, Gerda Philipsborn, "Abajan, the last pages of this book have just been printed. Whatever I have said and the way I have said it reflects your influence. You have made a place for yourself in the hearts of the Jamia community, but you may not realize how deeply you are revered and loved here." These beautiful stories reveal that Indians have never harbored antagonism toward Jews. In fact, Indian Muslims have cultivated deep bonds of kinship and friendship with their Jewish brothers and sisters. The list of such encounters is endless, but I hope I have succeeded in conveying the spirit of this enduring friendship, one that has existed for centuries and will continue for generations to come. Thank you for watching and for appreciating this story of eternal friendship. Salam and Shalom.